Greetings, cinephiles. Are you looking for a movie analysis podcast that stands above the rest? Then look no further than Collateral Cinema, the only movie podcast that matters.
We analyze good movies, we analyze bad movies, and yes, we also analyze the in-betweens of the world of cinema.
So if you like what you hear, find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
And listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcasts.
And yes, my friends, we are 420 friendly. So when you listen to us, smoke it if you've got it. And now, here's a new episode of Collateral Gaming. The show starts right now.
I'm Ashley Chancellor.
And I'm Ian Wilson.
This is Collateral Gaming. Welcome to Collateral Gaming, the only video game podcast that matters, where we focus on good games, bad games, and everything else in between in the world of gaming. We're podcasting straight from Texas, and yes, my friends, we are a 420 friendly podcast, so whatever you have, be it bongs, blunts, joints, or dabs, smoke it if you've got it. Joining me today is a good friend of mine, Ian Wilson, for the very first time on the podcast. How's it going, bro?
It's going, bro. I'm having a good week, you know. Been playing Armored Core. I'm almost all the way through the final missions here. Struggling a little bit, but honestly, it's been so amazing to sit here and play this game this past week.
Fuck yeah, man. Yeah, it's been a week since the game came out. So this is very fresh. We're going to do a spoiler-free review, as we usually do with our game launch titles. As for me, I have not gotten anywhere near as far as you have. I'm still stuck on Balteus at the end of Chapter 1. So,
he was definitely a big, bit of a throwback to me. The weaponry was a bit, what's the word? Chaotic. Definitely with the wood chipper on the missiles. But I've experienced using that before with Armored Core Verdict Day and Armored Core 5, where they had this type of weaponry before. So I had previously experienced what it was like when players use it, so an NPC AI kind of felt a little bit challenging, but definitely familiar. I liked it a lot.
All right, so yeah, you have a little bit more of context than me. I've never played an Armored Core game before. In fact, I haven't really played that many mech games. A little bit of Mech Warrior back in the day when I was really young. I think I tried it out a little bit, but not, extensively. So this is very new. In fact, as far as FromSoft games go, I've never even beat any of their other titles. I've played a little bit of Dark Souls and Elden Ring, of course, when we did it on the podcast, but that steep difficulty curve that we see in a lot of their games, I know, does keep a lot of people from progressing. And if I had more time, obviously, I know people can spend hours upon hours into these games, right?
Yeah, definitely. I've heard some people getting lost in 4 hours plus on the very first boss. People who have gone even further than that and have refunded the game. Now, I will say, bosses in an Armored Core game isn't anything new. But at the level that they are in this game, at the difficulty they are, you can definitely see where FromSoft has taken, I would say, bits and pieces from their Souls games and applied it to Armored Core. And honestly, I was skeptical at first, but I'm impressed. If they make another, I'm definitely going to buy it because, besides the mech customization, down to the wire, bro, you can set the newer than the previous games. Now you can set the material on your mech. Mm-hmm. That's the stuff that draws a lot of us to these types of games if you're a mech fan. Besides, the amazing combat and the difficult styles and high speed, high octane gameplay, as they want to call it. But yeah, for me, it was the mech customization. I have a full glossy mech. Couldn't do that in previous games. You can set up all your dirt and battle damage. Uh-huh. Yeah. Feels like Gundam Breaker 3 and Armored Core just kind of had a baby.
Nice. Yeah, dude, I actually was impressed with the level of customization. I think that was the biggest selling point for me. And what I like about the game structure is that, you can fail a mission and then it immediately lets you reassemble your mech based on it won't let you go back to the store. You have to quit the mission and start over to do that. But you do have a chance to go ahead and swap out some parts and maybe try a different build and see. I think a lot of this game is very much trial and error. Again, there's that classic Dark Souls kind of gameplay, I guess, kind of working its way back into there, because it's been 10 years since FromSoft's done an Armored Core game.
September of 2013 was when Verdict Day released.
Yeah, so they've got a lot of they've got a decade of really kind of focusing on the Souls-like genre, which they invented. And I think, a lot of Armored Core fans are definitely going to see the influence brought into here, like you said. But at its core, no pun intended, it is still an Armored Core game, was what I hear. As far as the difficulty of the boss battles go, which you mentioned earlier, I think another Souls thing is the infamous tutorial boss. This first boss that is 100% a skill check. In this case, though, you have to beat it, and you don't even get into the mech customization or anything else, or even the training missions that tell you how to play the fucking game until you get through this skill check.
Yeah. One thing that somebody pointed out in one of the groups that I kind of ghost over and lurk in was how it was nice that this boss, the skill check, is presented in a manner that you can't get your call sign Raven, which if you don't play a lot of Armored Core, Raven is this call sign that throughout the entire series was basically the ace or the guy. He was the main character of a majority of the series games. And in this game it represents basically kind of the same character, and the fact that you have to beat that first boss to kind of get that call sign, as he calls you throughout all the game and stuff, that's to me, that was a nice nod to all of us who played in the previous games, because it definitely feels like you got to earn that. That first boss is definitely, that's the best part right there. You hear it all in the tutorials. They're like, oh, cool. Why is he called that? Why? There you go. Because you got to earn it. I won't say any more on that, but you got to earn it.
Yeah. I obviously not as familiar, but I had heard about that thing about how because I remember getting the Raven name, the call sign after the boss battle, and I'm like, oh, okay, so is there some kind of significance to this? Because just the way they present it is kind of like, oh, hey, this is a nod. So I looked it up, and I'm like, oh, okay, so this is a common call sign through the series. And so the fact that you have to beat the tutorial boss in order to get it, I guess is really kind of cool. And I'm going to admit, I had a little bit of difficulty with that helicopter, that damn fucking helicopter. It really actually pushed me to learn how the game works, because up to that point you can kind of just fly around and blow shit up. It's not that difficult.
Yeah.
But once you get to that helicopter, it's like, oh, okay, all right. And the game kind of forces you to really learn the mechanics, learn how to dodge around, and you don't even really get to fuck with your build yet. But it's after that point that I think I really kind of, once I got past the skill check finally and got into being able to customize my mech, I was impressed with how, the level of customization that there is, and the various stats that you're going to have to manage. And what I like is that they did the same thing that Elden Ring did, where you can actually pull up a contextual help menu to show you what each of the stats means. And so anybody can be thrown into this overly complex game and start to understand it, like with Elden Ring.
Yeah, they really did good. And that's one thing that I was also worried about. I love mech games, man. Gundam, if they made an Evangelion game, I'd drive me. Where's my... Take it, bro. I don't care. But honestly, that was one thing that worried me, is how they were going to give people who are just starting in this series. Because obviously, PC gaming has become big in the last 10 years. I've watched it, and my biggest thing was all the amount of friends that I have on PC that were excited for this game that had never touched it. I was worried about them finding out how to properly handle all the builds and stuff. And some of them, they got it right away, but some of them, obviously, they were a little bit like questionable. But those help menus, definitely, it was a nice like continued added touch to keep that and make it a little bit more intuitive in here, especially with the training stuff. I'm going to be real. They didn't exactly, they gave you a little tutorial in the previous games to like, hey, this is how you move around and stuff. And it's like a little VR simulation type deal. But they didn't really, they don't really like the tutorial in the later sections have you complete the first boss, how to do this, how to do that. This is the type of weapons you can use. This is how you manage the ACS overload stuff. Like
that was super helpful for me.
Yeah, that honestly, that felt so great. And even as like a veteran player, I even found some new things that kind of helped me out, like learning how to was it the drifting of the tank?
Yep.
Yeah, bro. You got your like initial D track playing in the background, and you're tank builds are fun actually in this game. I like it a lot more than the previous games. They felt very, what's the word? Sluggish and slow. It felt like a true tank. Here, it definitely feels like I'm an M1 Abrams on a battlefield about to just tear it up, bro.
Oh yeah,
I love it.
All of the different like mech leg types are like a lot of fun to play with, and I love how like you mentioned the tutorials. I was gonna mention that as well. I mean, those really kind of help make this game more accessible and kind of teach you the inner mechanics. And I was really impressed. Although you do have to play through the game a little bit in order to get that, and you have to play a little bit more in order to unlock more tutorials.
Yep.
But they'll show you how different types of weapons work and how different types of like the mech types work. And I think right now I have the reverse joint. I think out of the ones that I tested, that was the one that I think I was enjoying the most. But I definitely want to kind of build up my parts inventory and just have all the different types ready to go. I mean, the game gives you like 100 and something fucking slots to save builds.
Definitely make sure that you're paying attention through the missions then, because one thing they did add to this game that was new to me, I didn't, is spoiler free as I can. There are enemies in the game that you need to kill in order to obtain parts, and there are chests in the game that you need to find in order to unlock parts. Now, first, I was very salted about that, but since the game is open world, there's no video here, put quotations around that if you're listening.
I wouldn't call it an open world. It's very linear.
No, yeah, it's extremely linear, but that's okay. Like, they have a little bit level of faux explorability to the maps and levels, and that's fine by me. Like, that's cool. Probably don't call it open world, but I like that. And, having those chests and having to go find them in some levels they're right in front of you. But some levels you definitely have to go, look around the map just a little bit. And that does actually add to it for me in the experience, because some chests are in spots that are like good views, man. I mean, and that's one thing that like I would want to draw attention to also in this game is the detail in the game's world. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Reminds me of Cybertron. Yeah. But yeah, no, definitely do your tutorials and pay attention to the world.
Yeah, there are these huge environments. So actually, I think the level structure for this game actually works really well for it. It doesn't need to be open world. Although I would like to see what FromSoft might do with like an open world mech game. But in keeping to, I think, what's been defined as the Armored Core formula, I think the way that this game presents itself works perfectly, because you do have these big open environments and you have little bonus things to explore, but ultimately, you're progressing through the story at a certain pace. And I think you can go back and replay missions in order to catch the other stuff, which is good. And I just like I like the progression, through the chapter. You have set of missions that are available to you. So you can kind of go after the one that has the highest reward, or you can go after one that looks like it's going to be more interesting. Listen to the briefing, throw yourself in, and just kind of earn a little bit of money, try out another build. And I think it's kind of fun to start, building up your stock of parts, because I think that's going to be another thing that's helpful, is that when you're at a part in the story or in the game where you're having a difficult time and your build just isn't working, having other parts available to try to build yourself up in different ways, I think is going to be really beneficial. And in fact, I kind of wish I had more stock right now in my present situation, because I'm stuck at that Balteus boss battle. And if I want to buy more parts, then I have to restart the entire mission. So it's kind of like make do with what you have, or just fuck it.
There's a trick that everybody's been saying early on in the game to grind, but there's a specific mission. I'll shoot it to you in a message later, so I don't spoil it for anybody. But there's a specific mission that you can grind for good money rapidly.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just pretty quick. But yeah, I'll shoot it to you. That's how a lot of people got like good parts and stuff. But yeah, that actually helped me early on with getting AC. I did it like 3 or 4 times, and then I was good. But then I saw people talking about it on Reddit. But yeah, that's one thing, is this game does not doesn't shy away from the grind part.
No, not at all.
No.
And I really enjoy that. There's just kind of this, even though the game's not an RPG, there is kind of a there's kind of a formula to it that's like that, and it's basically like grinding up income in order to buy more parts, in order to build up your mech. And there's still every bit as much of a grind as you might see in an action RPG, especially one of FromSoft's. So yeah, I mean, overall, although I haven't gotten very far in the game, I've been extremely impressed with the level of customization, and like you said, the level of detail. The game looks great. I have it playing on a TV right now. I've got to play through. I've been playing the game on PS5 in performance mode, because I don't have a 4K TV anyway, so fuck it. And as far as I can tell, the game maintains a consistent 60 frames per second, which is great.
Oh, dude, yeah. I on PC at 1440p max settings with ray tracing on, I get a solid 90 FPS. They absolutely like.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm eating a bit of a strawberry shake too. But a lot of people have been talking in the gaming world, like gamers and whatnot, talking about, well, this game should be the staple for how games should release. I promise you, Armored Core 100% should be a staple for how we wish games would release. If anybody watches this from any like gaming company or anything like that, that right there, we might have DLC. It's a polished game with at least 20 plus hours of gameplay.
No microtransactions.
None, dude. None. And then the replayability, like there's replayability because there's stuff afterwards. That's always been a FromSoft thing with the Armored Core games. Always got to do that multiple playthroughs. It's been a thing since day one.
Yeah, because there's, in true FromSoft fashion, multiple endings, as I understand it. I think one of those is actually locked behind New Game Plus.
Yep, 2 of them are, I think, actually.
Yeah.
So there's a plus and a plus in this one, just like which to me was awesome, because reminds me of the good old Armored Core 4 answer, where there was a New Game Plus, but they didn't really have a plus. It was just a New Game Plus. You got to choose one of 2 additional endings. So it was like cool, That was fun. I remember blowing up the world, killing everyone. Mass genocide.
You have to have a blow up the world ending, I think, right? In any FromSoft title.
Because it's just like, yeah, now you have a reason to start all over again, kiddo.
Exactly. Yeah. I like the branching storylines. I mean, I will say the story has nothing in the way of, I don't think there's a single human face in this game. Not that I've seen so far. It's all just mission briefing voiceovers, and yet they've managed to kind of tell a story with pretty good pacing. Haven't really gotten very far into it yet myself, but I'm already interested in some of these characters and their motivations, like Handler Walter, whose voice you hear a lot in the beginning of the game.
I love Handler Walter. He is personally my favorite. You know, he starts off as a really mysterious guy, but definitely as you play more in the game, you understand a lot more of what he's trying to do, or you understand he's not as shady as he seems, and I like that. There's a lot of characters that give off a lot of shady vibes in the games that that's another thing that I've noticed from the Armored Core games is there's always that one character it's like, I don't know about them. And then later on, you're like, oh, okay, they're actually kind of cool. Or, oh, no. This guy needs to, like, get punted over a fence, like, mock Jesus.
Fuck this guy.
Yeah.
I feel that. Yeah, I definitely do get a feeling, for this like mysterious character there's a little bit more to him, and I think it's kind of interesting that your character there's no on-screen personality, so I guess it's just a link directly to you, and you're just some what do they call them, fried brain mercenary, and you kind of just do whatever you're told, which is
so you can buy your body back.
The whole setup for this is kind of cool. I mean, I think this game is set in its own continuity, right? Nothing with any other Armored Core games.
They said it's supposed to follow. Now, that's a loaded question, actually.
Okay.
So, like, officially and unofficially, all the Armored Core games kind of continue into each other. This one we're all saying kind of follows after Armored Core 4 answer, because if you pay attention to the lore, in 4 answer, which was the second PS4, not PS4, PS3 era video game that came out, that was the one that everybody said, oh, it's Gundam Armored Core, because of how fast-paced everything got. At the end of that, the canon ending, basically humanity stops living on the planet. Like they move on, go up, be out of there. That's what follows with Verdict Day and 5, how everything's just completely destroyed and torn apart. Rubicon is a whole ass different planet.
Yeah.
So that's why, they haven't officially confirmed or denied the canon, but there's been a lot of like story writing designers and lore designers and lore junkies that have pointed out things over the years that have kind of like pulled it away. Like, for instance, the Raven. That's what a lot of people are pointing to. This isn't the same continuity as the other games, because Raven has been this passed down like symbol or like call sign for somebody in these games. They have a whole like history of it. So like, yeah, I would say this follows in, but very loosely, man. Very, very loosely. FromSoft does not like to confirm continuity with Armored Core for, just so they can leave it as much open ability to design the gameplay and the mechanics as possible.
That makes
sense. Like some of the enemies you'll encounter related to the game, I've never seen them. Bro, they're like something out of a, science fiction mecha novel. Like, it's cool, like they're fun, they're amazing designs, but yeah, I've never seen or heard of these guys before this game, and that's cool by me, man. I love that. I like it. It's great.
It's all fresh territory, and I think that works because what we're doing here is we're reintroducing Armored Core to the modern gaming era. And that's something I kind of have a question about, in regards to the controls, the handling, the way that the game just plays. How similar or dissimilar is that to previous Armored Core titles?
So obviously, we're playing on keyboard and mouse. I've tried it on controller. It didn't work on my PS3 controller that I used with my PC, and that's fine. I used it on the Xbox for a little bit. It felt good. I've just been playing with PC for too long that keyboard and mouse has just kind of gotten whack for me. Now, I like how well they did the controls for PC. They took time to be intuitive about it and not make it just a jumble, like, let's just slap it down on here with like a pre-recorded, audio file or something like that. I feel like a lot of companies, when they make multi-platform games, they do really well about the graphics and the performance of the game on PC, but a lot of them definitely half-ass the controls. They did not half-ass the controls on this game on PC. And I haven't heard anybody complain about the controls on console. I'm guessing you probably find them very like easy to learn and work with.
Accessible is the word that comes to mind. You know, you've right trigger for your right hand weapon, left trigger for your left hand weapon. The shoulder buttons are your like alternate fire, you know, like your heavy weapons. Or in my case, I ended up switching to the loadout that lets you store other weapons on there, so you can change up your style, which is cool. I mean, I find the controls to be intuitive, and it is exactly what I would expect out of a modern mech game as far as controls go. The targeting assisting helps. I mean, the game sort of just kind of magnetizes shots based on what enemy your reticule is closest to, and then you can even lock on by pressing R3, and you can actually, you know, focus on the enemy, which helps with some of the boss battles and making them feel more dynamic, is that you can track the boss as it moves around the arena. And so I thought that was super helpful. And I think I heard that like some people were complaining about the targeting assist options, but you can also like turn them off and not use them. There's even a manual aim upgrade that you can get.
Yep. I've used that a few times, especially with dealing with enemies at long range.
Yeah, like if you're trying to like snipe. I mean, there's not really a sniper weapon. I guess like the linear rifle is kind of the closest thing to that.
That's my only gripe about this game is there's always been a sniper rifle weapon. Like you have your long range FCS and targeting modules in the game, but no sniper weapons. That's you know, it's cool. You know, it is what it is. Like, you know, I would have been down for even the Armored Core 5 or Verticade style where you had to kind of like plant your unit into the ground in order to use the sniper rifle. That was awesome.
That does sound
Those
cool.
things did. Yeah, well, I mean, like, dude, it was awesome when you had like a quad leg unit and you just see like all four like feet just pile drive into the ground and you're like, all right, let's go. And like the sniper rifle that I used a lot in Verticade was one that kind of sat under the arm of the mech, and then when it was time to use it, it would just fold out from under upwards.
Badass. That is fucking cool. I don't know. Maybe they could add some add the sniper rifles into DLC or something. I mean, there's a lot of room, you know, I guess to even add on to what they have.
I feel like that would change up the meta in PvP perfectly. Oh man. Yeah, that would be very good for this game. I definitely hope that if they add DLCs, that they add new weapon types or even like, you know, weapons from previous games to the game to kind of like sit there and make it feel fresh. Because I know like I've played the previous PS3 era games, all four of those. I played like so many times I replayed them, even beyond the normal replayability. But it was just, you know, there wasn't a lot of mech games back in the day, so that was what you got. This one, I definitely see myself playing more than 3 times, but definitely having new weapons or new gear, or even if they added DLC missions at some point, that would be awesome. But it's okay. As I see it right now, I'm still cool with this game. You know, how it plays, how the enemies, you know, how you have to deal with them. I'm cool with it. The only thing I hate is the PvP.
Okay, I have not tried the PvP yet. So, and I know there's no co-op. So if you want to play multiplayer, it's either 1v1 or 3v3, right?
Yeah, pretty much. PvP's. If anybody watched the, did you watch the multiplayer showcase?
No.
Okay. It devolves pretty quickly. So, yes, you know, you get into a big new mech game like this, the first thing you want to do is play your build. It's the same issue that people are experiencing with the bosses, and I'll touch on that too while I'm touching on this. The meta is a thing in this game. There is nothing like the meta, and you just got to accept it for right now how it is, because there's no... How they've always run things is through regulations files in the game, and that's kind of like their patches and of sorts. And they don't really get updated very often because how they always like to say it is we choose their regulations files through extensive testing, yada, yada, yada. And that's cool. They can do that. They work. The issue is PvP right now is heavily dominated by tank builds with dual Gatling. Pretty much anything in this game, especially bosses, can be easily dealt with by dual Gatling tank legs. If you do a heavy build, you'll take the least amount of damage from everything. And then with the Gatling guns, I mean, they have range, they have power. As long as you can hit your target, you're fine. And that's what I've seen a lot of people. My brother's been playing this game too, and every boss he's gotten up to pretty much up to date, he's had to swap into that when he could. And he says it works, but yeah, that's my one. I do not touch PvP for that reason. And I cannot deal with some of the bosses because of that. But that's okay. Like, it's still like fun. I feel like what you said earlier about getting through a boss and like sometimes having to change up your strategy is fine. Like I like doing fast-paced mech play. That's how I've always played this series. Having to sit down and just hard roll through everything, like I said earlier, in M1 Abrams tank. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do, and that's the big boomer.
Yeah, I've heard that there are some builds in this game that can break the game pretty much, and it's like the difficulty of this game is really only insofar as you can build a build that can break through it all, and of course that would be applied to multiplayer. So when you said that there was an issue with PvP, I was like, yeah, that's it. Somebody just found a good build that's kind of broken. So I don't know if they patch it, or they add a regulation, they might maybe try nerfing some of the parts of that build, I guess. But it's funny you mention that because I saw Donkey had that build in his video, and he used it to get past the boss that I'm having trouble with.
Yeah, I mean it, and I'm not even gonna say here it's cheap. I'm not gonna say it's newbie. Not saying it's cheating because like I've done it a few times myself. I know veteran players who've played this game religiously. Like even still play the PS2 games like Masters of the Arena and everything. And they've even had to do it. But that's okay because they're enjoying the game. Like, dude, oh my gosh, I'm enjoying this game.
I mean, it's one thing for like the story, right? But it's another thing if you're just like cheesing your way through PvP with
Yeah, and that's the one reason that like I've seen a lot of people talk about I can't play the PvP in this game. And I've gotten into it with a couple of like Armored Core fans over it, and it's just I don't think PvP is the focus of this game. It's a nice end game place for, the sweats to go and test their metal of who has the best piloting skills, I guess. But like, if everybody's using the same build, it kind of defeats the fun, I guess, at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember back in Armored Core 4 Answer, we all did sword fights. So everybody would do dual swords and do the fastest build on like a certain regulation file that had the most boost energy. I mean, you would see some like high speed fights going on. Like, y'all see those like anime fights where everybody's going so fast. Yeah. It's kind of like watching that with how like they're locking onto each other and just going right back into it. It's a lot of fun. I want to see that at some point, but until I see sword fights going on, I'll probably shy away from PvP because, sword fighting that's peak right there.
It reminds me of slap fighting in GoldenEye.
Oh, man. Those were the days, bro.
The days.
You again. I'm not exactly craving company here.
Now entering combat zone. Initiating phase 2.
So what happened to 617 and the others? Fill me in, Admiral Walter. Well, at least you're helping me clear my inventory. This one is functional, but don't expect much more.
I'm not here to talk. Wake it up.
brother. He's playing right now.
Really? Fuck yeah.
Yeah. He beat it before me because he's been going hard. He's been playing, I think, on the second or third playthrough now. But that dude, he has no job right now, so he's kind of he's got nothing to do. Yeah, and I bought him the game, so I kind of fueled that one.
Hey man, it's a great way to just kill time. I definitely have been even with the little amount that I've played. Let's see, could probably find out actually exactly how much hours I've put into this game so far. But yeah, no, you can just even just coming in after work and playing for a little while. Like for me, I'll just keep playing and and retrying or whatever and or going through the missions until I get to a point where I'm stuck, and then I'm okay, if I'm just retrying the same thing over and over again, at that point it's that's usually where that PlayStation ends. But I think it is kind of cool that you can always just jump back into something later, cool off a little bit, play something else, and then come back and tackle this challenge, find a different build. Maybe even look online and see, if somebody has some tips, because there's no one size fits all solution, right? Except for the broken builds that you can build. But
yeah, I've definitely noticed a lot of people using there are these back pieces that shoot out lasers, kind of like bits from Gundam. Yeah, I've noticed a lot of people saying that those are broken at the later levels.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, because it just does a major ACS damage. So yeah, definitely your laser builds at later levels. I did notice that back weaponry does take a little bit more precedence in this game. But yeah, it was nice that they kind of combined the back weaponry from 4 Answer and 4 with the Verdict Day and 5 play style of having just 2 weapons on each side.
Yeah.
That does add a lot, but yeah, definitely having at least one back weapon, I find, even if it's just missiles, just adds into it, because you can just dump fire them half the time.
Missiles are so useful. And what I like is that you can kind of just cycle through all of your weapons as they reload. By the way, I've put in 12 hours, so not a whole lot. I know you could put in a lot more, but just in the last week, yeah.
Yeah, I want to take about 2 or 3 hours off, just because the amount of time I have sat there at the title screen getting baked before I played a few times, and I know Steam logs time as long as the game's booted. But I have 21.7, so I'll probably say 19 hours right now logged. Yeah, of actual gameplay. Yeah, dude, that's just, and I haven't even completed it. There you go.
Yeah. There is so much to do, even just tinkering around, with your mech. The arena fights, which are a lot of fun. I feel like that's probably more fun than the PvP, because they introduce you to just a variety of different mechs, individual mechs with different specific play styles. So you can kind of each one is a challenge, and I think I was having the most fun with the arena once I got that unlocked. But you only unlock so many at a time, I guess.
Yeah, you have to complete certain parts of the story, and then it unlocks the next level. I'm already completed all the way up to rank S. I will say, I like how the arena actually has a proper reward for completing it. Back in the day, you could complete it, but there wasn't much reward besides obviously the money for doing it. Now when you complete them, you get the whole chips that you can use to upgrade your, unlock abilities, unlock assault armor. Dude, it was so cool that assault armor was a thing in this game again, because I missed it so much.
Oh yeah,
I missed it so much. And the fact that it's something that you can just unlock, you don't have to equip a set a whole special set of parts, or because in 4 Answer, you had to equip certain arms and body and leg parts in order to use assault armor. Now it's a chip.
Yeah,
that's fine.
I like the chips.
I'm cool with it, and you can unlock multiple uses for it as you upgrade. I like that. That was a nice touch. The changes to little things that players liked over the years, that just kind of hey, we're gonna give you a cookie for liking that. Heck yeah, bro. I'm gonna eat that cookie. I'm gonna use it 3 times.
Yeah, like I like the operating system, right? The OS updates that you can get with the chips from the arena. That was where I unlocked, that ability that allows you to store like secondary or another set of weapons instead of shoulder weapons, which I thought was interesting. Like I said, it was helpful. Like for instance, when I'm in this boss battle and I want to try out kind of a different build, so to speak, I can just kind of swap my weapons out and go from like a close range style, and kind of swap them out and go long range and retreat for a little bit if I need to, which is cool. So there's just so much like variance that you can bring in, and you can kind of find a customization that works for you. Or you could make a dual Gatling tank build.
And just plow everything.
But you know what? Even that's fun because it's like, you earned those parts, and as long as you're I think is when it comes to like the single player, if you're having fun plowing down with an overpowered build, like fuck yeah, man. I mean, at least you earned the parts, and there's no microtransactions. Nobody bought their way to it.
Exactly. And that's, especially with how difficult this game is, I will not. It's like with, Dark Souls. Basically, never played Dark Souls. Won't play it. Won't finish it. Hate it. I feel like that's a dodging simulator compared to this. This game, can't fault anybody who comes in. There's, I think it was a comment on the Steam page. Let me see.
There's no iframes, Ian.
Yeah, I know. It's get wood chipped, bro. But there's a guy. It might have been on a comment somewhere. There was somebody complaining how he came into this game thinking that it was going to be Mecha Dark Souls.
Yeah.
And he was so very much wrong. And good. Get good. Realize that, please. Because this is never going to be what you wanted it to be. Yeah, they really play it hard on this one. I mean, like you said, there's no iframes. You can't dodge it. You gotta eat some of your damage or play it smart the entire time, and that's where it's like, hey, if you can get past the first mission, you can get past up to the first boss, you can get past the first boss, even like, congrats, dude, you're killing it, because I can guarantee you there's so many people who played this game for 2 hours, 3 hours, couldn't get past the first boss and said, screw this, I'm refunding it.
I want to see like a no damage boss fight or something. I want to see like
there's a community challenge going on right now to complete the game only using your fists.
I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah, you can literally take off all your weaponry and all you're reduced to is punching. Now, honestly, that is cool if you can do it. There are some fights that I just don't think that it's gonna be a good idea.
Yeah, it's like, is that even possible? I don't know. I mean, maybe if you just have the sword.
Someone let me solo her.
Yes. I would love to see what Let Me Solo Her is doing with this game if he's playing this game. That actually would be really fun. Yeah. Actually, I'm starting to think like. What if they did allow you to just like bring in mechs from other worlds to just help you like fight this battle?
I mean, they did have co-op back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
That was it was a nice touch, especially back in like 404 Answers. How some of the it's like some of the bosses in this game are obviously big. One of the bosses you'll fight, I think, in the second chapter is like a giant. It's giant. Well, let's just leave it at that. Those are fun. But actually, I think you might have fought it in the first. I'm not too sure. I've been going the last couple days. So, but there are lots of those battles. There's the Spirit of Motherwill. There's Capricorn. There's like a whole bunch of these big boss battles back in 4 Answer. And then going in and playing it with co-op with friends made it seem a lot more like fun. It did make the missions go by faster, yeah, but it definitely added a lot of fun to it. Like even if it was like, hey, there's 2 of us now, we don't have to go with like the heaviest build because there's 2 people to take all the damage.
Right.
Yeah, so like you and your friend can go around I think me and my buddies back in 4 Answer Days on Xbox 360 did a full-on white glint build with blades. You went with the colors black, and I went with the full white.
Nice.
And we took out Spirit and Mellow Roll with just blades. I mean, and that thing was like, that boss back in the day was the size of a city. Like it was a big boss to take on in the game, and like it wasn't super hard, obviously, but like that's where the community evolved. It's like finding new ways to take on bosses, especially in co-op and stuff. You know, I've seen people do like 3-4 man, you know, in 5 and Verdict Day, and they had a different version of those. They did like 3 and 4 man runs with like just pistols and stuff. Because like in Verdict Day, you had like the kick ability to run up to somebody and kick them while you're boosting.
You can do
Kind
that
of like you
this
do
one
that now,
too, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you have to unlock the ability. That one you didn't have to do any upgrades or anything.
Okay.
It was just straight up, yeah. Contrary to popular belief, I'm gonna say this. I kind of liked 5 and Verdict Day a little bit more.
Really?
I just felt like the combat, while slow, was very more mech-like, you know? It was gritty. Very, like, you know, how the mechs moved, how they looked, they were bulky. Definitely seemed very Armored Core realistic.
Well, they've made so many Armored Core games, because before FromSoft did Souls, it was mainly Armored Core, and they were releasing like multiple of these a year, I believe. Like
they would try to do 1 to 2 a year, yeah.
Yeah.
In the PS3, when the PS3 era came, they kind of slowed down heavily. But yeah, that was the PS2 era was littered with Armored Core games.
Right. Well, and see, nowadays, you know, that'd probably be just DLC to kind of, you know, because I think giving a game more longevity is a good thing, and not having to pop out so many games a year. If you can pop one out every few years, you know, and maybe they can continue to do like what a lot of other companies do, which is just kind of an alternating release schedule with their 2 flagship franchises, you know, and just kind of do, you know, here's a Soulslike, here's an Armored Core game.
I really hope. I'm kind of hoping that with how successful this game has been, that they give us ports to the old games on PC.
Yeah.
I would love to see what the modding community does with the rest of the games. Honestly, I've been watching it for the last couple days. The first few days I stayed off because it's just going to be nothing but BS mods, but
oh, yeah. I'd love to see what kind of mods people have made for this game.
Oh, dude, it's taken off slowly. Obviously, you know, we were within the same release schedule as Starfield. So a lot of the modding community is kind of focusing on Starfield right now, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they're getting steady. Wow. First mod I see on there is a Gundam.
Nice.
I'm not yet. Yeah. Like, yeah. So they're already getting right with it, right where I saw they would get with it. So that's cool. But dude, mods for this game are exactly why I was excited.
Yeah. I'm actually, because with the level of customization that's already available, I'd love to see what the modding community can do with that, and just like take it to its extreme. Like I've seen what they've done even with games like Tears of the Kingdom, which doesn't have an official PC release, obviously.
Quotations.
Yeah, but
yeah.
Man, yeah, I guess we'll get into our final thoughts here, as I don't know how much else there is to say without getting too far into spoilers and late game items. Starting with you, Ian, as our guest, it's your final verdict on Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon?
So I'm sitting here looking at, you know, obviously my Steam page and looking at the store page for it, because I always like reading all the stuff that everybody else thinks about the game, and I've been looking at all the other stuff that's coming out with the game, like all the mods. Metacritic gives it an 87. Now, if I'm going to give it an out of 10, honestly, I'm going to have to go with a good solid 9.5. I can't give it the 10 just because I don't have that co-op, bro. And that I missed the big giant mech fights. That's what really like sold Armored Core for me. I feel like a lot of fans would enjoy those a lot more. but that 9.5 mainly because of the wood chipper. It's embodies the trueness of every Armored Core game and all the FromSoftware's ideals in the last few years, which is making a truly challenging game with a good entry to show you how bad it's going to get. Because if you think it stops bad there, I probably just want to go ahead and refund the game. But, dude, I love it. I'm going to be playing it. As soon as I get some new host sauce, I'm going to do what some other dude did and program 2 flight sticks to play the game.
Fuck yeah.
Dude, if I won't say get this on sale. Some people will say get it on sale. If you want to get it on sale, get it on sale. But personally, I'm a firm believer on games like this. You got to buy it directly from the source, however, buy it at the best value that you can, because supporting this game would mean that we get another one. And honestly, if you think this game looks cool, or if you play it and you love it, then definitely make sure you support it. It's worth it. It's going to be a staple for the next 5 years.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I think that and considering the game's like retail value, like for the base game, is just $60. It's not even the standard $70 that we see most games now. $60 game, no microtransactions. Very, very admirable, as a developer that FromSoftware releases its titles like this. And then it just shows a lot of integrity. And I think it's a good value. There's hundreds of hours of gameplay easily that you can get out of this game. And I think it's something I can recommend to almost anybody to go ahead and try out, because, again, I mean, this game is already cheaper than most AAA games now are these days. And I feel like the game is accessible enough, even with the skill check at the game, once you kind of work with it and you learn the game as you're intended to. I think you're supposed to die a few times and then kind of learn it. And then you really, really get into like the meat and potatoes of the game. And and like I said, there's a lot of accessibility. The game kind of doesn't hold your hand, but gives you all of the resources that you need to be good at it, which is really nice. So, I mean, I think I can recommend this to almost anybody. It's one of the most accessible hardcore games I've seen ever, which is interesting coming from FromSoftware, right? Accessible's not necessarily their thing, they're more like, hey, welcome to Dark Souls, bitch. Like, this is this is the way it is. We're not going to lower the difficulty, and I actually respect them for that too. But this game doesn't bow down on difficulty. I think it's accessible just because it's the first mech game that they've done since 2013. And I think, there is an opportunity for a lot of Elden Ring and Dark Souls players to come in and play something like this for the first time. And so I like that they maintain the level of difficulty that they're known for while still giving you the chance to learn the mechanics of this. I feel like, for instance, I have an easier time getting into this than I did with Elden Ring or Dark Souls. So...
Yeah, definitely. I feel that too. If I was an outside player and I did not care about Armored Core as much, honestly, I would feel this is a little bit easier to get into. There's not a whole lot of outside story you got to know about. It's just, hey, this is your fleshed out story from what you can tell from the trailer. You get everything as you play the game, and they really detail in the story, like you said. So bro, I agree with you 100%.
Hell yeah, man. Well, I appreciate you being on, bro. This was a great episode. And to all of our listeners out there, if you enjoyed this episode, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or feedback on your platform of choice. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, and wherever else you get your podcasts. You can hit us up on Instagram, Twitter, on Facebook. If you have a suggestion of something you'd like to see us, talk about or play or do, always open to it. We are going to be coming into Season 6 of Collateral Gaming this month. So this was basically like the last bit of postseason content which wasn't a lot. We really didn't. I don't think we got anything out in August, but we're coming hard in September. We're going to be opening up with Spider-Man, the PS4, PS5 game. We'll be doing a redux on that. We originally covered Spider-Man PS4 back in Season 1, so it'll be interesting now to revisit the game, especially in the context of Spider-Man 2 coming out. And then part 2 of that episode is going to actually be another look at Miles Morales. Again, we did an episode on it when it came out, but it was a spoiler-free episode like this one. So I want to, take the opportunity to play through these games, to do another 2-part episode on these games and kind of relook at them now. And then we'll actually be covering Spider-Man 2 in November after our spooky content in October. So super, super stoked about the new Spider-Man game. Actually, there's a lot of games that are coming out in November that I'm really stoked about. So almost too many, man. Because there's Super Mario RPG, Persona 5 Tactica, the new Naruto Storm Connections game, Modern Warfare 3. But it's been a good year for gaming, definitely.
Dude, yeah.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, Ian, thanks for being on, man.
Thanks for having me, Ashley. Dude, it's been nice talking to you again. I hope to see you soon, man. We gotta catch up, and next time you're in San Antonio, or I gotta come out to you actually.
You should come visit. I've got I've got my little setup here in my apartment. But I do come to San Antonio a lot. In fact, I'm actually coming next week, believe it or not.
Oh, shoot, hit me up. We can get some food, man.
Yeah, I'll see what's up.
All right, man. Well, you take care, and again, thank you so much for having me on. Everybody else, thanks for watching.
Hell yeah, guys. Thanks for supporting us and through Season 5. We will see you in Season 6. Until then, I've been Ashley Chancellor.
I'm Ian Wilson.
This is Collateral Gaming. We are out. Collateral Gaming is a Collateral Media podcast. All music and game clips are owned by their respective creators and are used for educational purposes only. Please don't sue us. We're poor.